My colleague Thulasizwe Simelane, as you can see, very busy out there in Pietermaritzburg this morning. Thulas, a very good morning to you. You're also joined by our senior reporters, Siphamandla Goge and Thatia. Let's just take a look at what is happening. We see there are some arrivals. Let's just go there and see who it is this morning. Siphamandla Goge, good morning to you. If you can describe for us who you're seeing, what's happening there at the moment. Siphamandla, can you hear me? All right, let's head on over to Thulasizwe Simelane. Let's find out what it is that we can look forward to today as we see the arrival of the former president's son, Zuma, there at the Pietermaritzburg High Court, I beg your pardon. Thulasizwe, a very good morning to you. And let's just bring it back and just look at all the developments since the former president was in this courtroom the last time. And are we actually expecting this trial to get underway today, given now the latest moves with regard to Billy Downer?
Well, we do expect that it will be technical, and I keep saying it will be a point of law. As we see some more of the arrivals, Uveka, I don't know if we are able to take it to Siphamandla Goge and sort of hear. In fact, that's to Zuma,
yes.
That was arriving here and going through that scrum of journalists. So we've spotted a number of the members of the Zuma family, as we will show you a picture visually inside court. You are seeing Duduzile Zuma, and you are seeing Edward Zuma, and now Duduzane Zuma, also among the people that are inside court. But in terms of what we expect, let me bring it back to my guests and Ayanda Shazi, and feel free at any point, Uveka, to make us pause when you see reactions and other people arriving from the side of Siphamandla Goge and Thatia. So, Ayanda, the question of the documents that the NPA is talking about, they're saying that the plea and the documents filed are not adequate, and that they make allegations of fact without supporting affidavits from the sources, etc., identifying those sources. How important a matter is that, and how much of a role could that play in what we see today?
See, there's nothing wrong with them making these allegations, because the aim of the defense team of Zuma is to try and persuade the court, or to show a certain light into this matter. Basically, they're trying to show that the buildup of evidence was not collected in a proper manner. So there's nothing wrong with them actually raising these allegations, but the court can simply just take it as hearsay if it's not supported by any documentary proof. So they're taking a risk in the sense of just mentioning it in passing without actually supporting documents linked to it, because now it leaves room for the prosecution to now probe into these allegations and question them on that. And then that will then make the court decide fully as to whether what they are saying is something that was just fictitious, or is it really something that really transpired. Yeah. The only documentation that we can safely actually talk about is the allegation of the affidavit, which is common cause to everyone. Even though they haven't attached it to the actual application, but everyone knows about that affidavit.
And that is the affidavit of Billy Downer.
Yes, that's correct.
When the charges had been dropped by the NPA,
yes.
But he held a view that differed from the then NDPP, being quoted in share, that he believed that the prosecution should go ahead. Now, given what Ayanda has just said, what is the likelihood that we could see a trial within a trial on these allegations that are being made, and how this plea has actually been filed? Could we see something like that before even the trial starts?
Already the plea itself, you can call it a trial within a trial, because it's an interlocutory of some sort. It stops the trial from proceeding. So now, within itself, like if you are alleging that the papers are inadequate, it has to be said, then would the court be able to come to a decision? If the court comes to a decision, then you have to challenge the inadequacy of the papers and say you need to file more papers, you need to be clear in your papers so that I can respond to them, and so that the court can also make a ruling on them, because as they stand, they are not inadequate, and no court sitting can actually rule on them. So another application can come within there. If the NPA so decides to challenge it on that alone, it's within them to decide that particular one.
Uveka, I do want to show you the two stages where this drama will be playing itself out, right? So let me start with what you're seeing inside court. As people start getting inside there, there's the visual from inside courtroom A. Social distancing being enforced quite strictly with specific parts of the benches marked where people can and can't sit. You will see there those 3 chairs inside court that make provision for 3 judges when it's a full bench of the High Court. But we know now that in terms of the current matter, it's only 1 judge. It's Judge Piet Koen who is presiding over this matter, and he will be seated there in the middle seat there, as you can see, marked Judge Koen, for him to take his seat there. That's the one stage where it's all playing itself out. But visually I can show you as well the street just outside court that leads to that park that is known as Freedom Park, and that's just outside there. That's where the other stage is, the political stage. That's where that will be playing itself out. Not sure if you're still with me, Uveka, and if you want me to pause, I'm happy to do that. If you need to take any more reactions and arrivals from the side of Siphamandla Goge, but if not, we've got plenty of ground to cover, including what the law is, in as far as this matter is concerned, certainly as the law was set down by that key judgment of Porridge and another versus the NDPP. But let me pause and hear from you, and we'll take guidance from you.
Yes, Thulas, we'd love to hear more from you on the legalese of all of this. And one of the things that struck me when I had to look at what the former president actually claims is that his prosecution is political, like you say, and that Billy Downer is biased. And I just wondered, as prosecution, isn't it inherently, and I could be wrong, but inherently, isn't there bias involved because you've taken a side? You've taken a side to prosecute. Maybe you and your guest there can maybe enlighten us, those of us who are not au fait with the legal matters there.
You're absolutely right. You're spot on there, Uveka. In fact, we can ask for that graphic that we have prepared from the case of Porridge versus the National Director of Public Prosecutions to be brought up as we talk about it, to say that in that matter, which, in terms of the way the courts work, a higher court sets precedent. So the SCA sets precedent, which precedent the High Court will then have to follow. The similarities are uncanny in that, that the applicants in that matter of Porridge had been successful in getting 2 prosecutors to actually be removed on the very same basis of that section of the Criminal Procedure Act, section 1061H. They had been successful, but that was overturned by the Supreme Court of Appeal, among others, the Supreme Court of Appeal saying that actually in an adversarial system such as ours, prosecutors are in a way partial to one of the sides because they represent one of the 2 sides that are battling it out before a court, and therefore, they walk in fact, the court going as far as to say that sometimes prosecutors, and in many instances, they go in feeling that the accused is guilty of the charges that they are accused of. I can show you now Billy Downer making his way inside court there. There you see Billy Downer, the man who, in a way, in the way that things have worked out, finds himself, instead of the accused, you find him now being the center of attention. As I bring in Ayanda Shazi into this particular matter, into this particular conversation, how important will that judgment be in the arguments that man we see on screen there, Billy Downer, will present, Porridge and another versus the NDPP?
So, like I said before, it's going to be an uphill battle for the defense team of JZ to try and persuade this court from what has been decided before. I mean, the decision of Porridge was taken to a higher court than this one. So for them to actually come back and say that, maybe because of this case, because of X, Y, and Z, we now want to look into what you are alleging in your special plea. You know, so, and whatever decision is made today, it's going to set precedents for other matters going forward. It means now that any other case that is coming forward, then we now look into this, we now start to scrutinize the actual prosecutor that's dealing with regards to each and every case, and not looking at the evidence as a whole. Now that makes the wheels of justice not to be stable, and it sends a message of it being tipped in a certain way. And now the faith in the justice system is going to be tested on so many levels, which is what the judge also needs to look into, that whatever decision that he makes with regards to this court, because it has been decided before and it didn't go the way that the applicants had intended. So whatever happens here is going to set precedents for other matters going forward. So a lot is on the shoulders of the presiding officer and also on the prosecution.
Binding authority is the
yes,
word
that's correct.
The Supreme Court of Appeal will be binding.
Yes.
And the approach that they took would need to be taken into consideration by the High Court here.
That's correct.
Rebecca, I am conscious that Siphamandla Goge is on standby for the arrival of MAGASHULE. If you need to take it away, please do so. We've got plenty more ground to cover.
Thanks very much, Thulasizwe Simelane. They're just educating us just on the legal aspects of this, especially the apparent or alleged bias of Advocate Billy Downer. There is some movement outside there. Let's go to Siphamandla Goge if he can hear me now. Sip, I'm hoping you can hear me. Who are you seeing? Who's arrived?
Quite intensely, but
It seems we still can't get Siphamandla to hear us, but it does look like Ace MAGASHULE. Very difficult to see, especially with people wearing masks as they arrive, but it looks like Ace MAGASHULE to me heading into court. And let's see if Siphamandla can hear me now. Sip, I'm hoping you can hear me now. Just tell us what's happening around you.
yes, loud and Mr. MAGASHULE. Mr. MAGASHULE, let's talk about your support here. The NWC said you must be charged.
How are you? I'm good. I'm fine. No, just be patient. Be patient. That's media.
Please tell your people not to push us. Let's talk about your supporters, Mr. MAGASHULE.
I will talk to you now.
Yeah, but okay, there's that scrum. Let's go and wait for Mr. MAGASHULE here in front of the hallway here, because they are not allowing us to get through to him, but we will eventually.
All right.
So
Siphamandla.
stay with us, Rebecca.
Okay,
we'll give you those visuals.
We are staying with you. We are staying with you, Sipa. You have spoken to several other supporters of the former president throughout the morning. Just while we're waiting for him, just give us an idea of who's already arrived and what have they got to say?
Well, many people have basically arrived here. Let me try and
Patient, wait. Let the processes, whatever process to take place. I'm saying to all ANC members and the South Africans, just be patient.
The NWC said you must be charged.
Just be patient.
Are you worried that the NWC says you must be charged?
You can see I'm not worried at all. Be patient.
But what is your view that you must be charged with Kalni House and Tony Yenge?
Leave ANC processes.
Okay, we are being pulled away from Mr. MAGASHULE, Rebecca. Don't worry, we'll pose those questions. This scrum half will end at some point.
Well, Siphamandla, I know if anybody can, you can get water from a stone. Sometimes is what it feels like. But just give us an idea. You did encounter Kalni House and the likes of Tony Yengeni earlier. What do they have to say to you?
Well, they say, well, Chobinyangan is not here. Let's just get in and see if we can get
Leave the media. Let's give space to the media.
Let me get in. Let me get in.
Leave the media. Leave the media. Give them space.
Are you surprised to make this move by the ANC against you? When you spoke, yeah, that's right.
I'm saying I'm not surprised. Leave ANC things and processes to happen. Just be patient.
But the ANC says some of the utterances that were made here last week, that's what you should possibly be charged for.
Be patient. Leave ANC processes.
But now let's talk about your continued support for the former president. Some people say you have not been coming to court. Now that you are facing your own challenges, you are coming.
If you look at the NEC meetings of the ANC, they have always coincided with the case of Comrade President Zuma. And as Secretary General, I couldn't leave NEC meetings. You must check your calendar.
In the Free State,
I supported President Zuma. I will support him all the time.
in the Free State, Policy Duane is the convener of the new provincial structure.
So what?
Policy Duane, your former ally, is the new convener of the new provincial interim structure. What do you make of that?
So what?
It's a blow to you politically.
There's no blow to anything. Leave ANC processes. Just be patient, guys.
Are you not apologizing to the ANC? Are you continuing with your court matter?
See, I'm fine. I'm floating today like a butterfly.
So you will never apologize?
About anything happening, any comeuppance against you. Leave processes. Be patient.
Are you not apologizing to the ANC?
Just be patient, guys.
Until today, until next week, when the okay, Mr. Magashule, but now,
Mr. Magashule, are you not being opportunistic in hijacking the former president's case to propel your political career?
No, man, please.
The former president,
some say he will be put here.
Please, be patient, guys.
What do you make of those leaders who were put here last week? The leaders who were put.
Be patient.
Well, basically, I can tell you that it's a half here.
It's really hard.
Yeah, it is.
Everyone wanted
All right, Siphamandla, you did well there trying to get through that scrum and get in your questions. Like I said, if anyone can, Siphamandla Goge absolutely can.
Let's talk about
He's still trying, Siphamandla just doesn't give up, does he?
You were put last week, you are back here. Are you not worried that you will be put? Just a quick one, a quick one.
No, I'm not worried.
Has Zandile Kumete stepped aside?
No, I'm not worried about anything.
Okay.
I'm just coming to support former President Zuma. And I think all of us here, the leadership of the province, that's what we're here to do.
You were put last time, I worried.
No, the pooing is not something that you speculate about. Certainly, I'm not worried. I'm only worried about people who may decide to be involved in the pooing, and yet probably they are not really genuine members of the ANC who, after booing, accept the responsibility that we must then sit down and respond to whatever their concerns and the discord in the movement. Because booing can't be just for its own sake. It must be an expression of a certain grievance, and genuine members of the ANC will accept that. Once you have expressed that grievance, you equally have a responsibility to sit down with your leadership and find a way in which your grievances can be attended to. But if you boo without that kind of a commitment, then it means you are not a genuine member of the ANC. You are a disruptor. Because being a comrade entails a certain responsibility on your part, that you have a right to express your misgivings and your concerns, but we equally have an obligation to sit down with your own leadership and attend to whatever challenges that you have in the best interest of the African National Congress.
Mr. Ntuli, do you still maintain that the SG of the ANC was suspended, was offline when he said that he was going to migrate the entire Free State to KwaZulu-Natal, and what happened to that call of his?
You see, we're the provincial leadership of the ANC, and we are not just only responsible to the membership of the ANC. The ANC is a leader of society. It has a responsibility to itself and to the people of KwaZulu-Natal. We expressed that view publicly last time to say that that view that was expressed by the leader of our movement was inappropriate, was not in line with what is attended to all of us who are leaders of the ANC, because as you know, the country is going through a difficult period of the pandemic. So you can't say you are going to mobilize everybody to come to a certain area in a way that disregards the current material conditions that we face as a people. So that's why we're saying it was not correct, and we still stand by that view as an organization.
Let's talk about your contradicting positions as the PEC of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal supporting former President Jacob Zuma, when the resolution of the party says there must be a distance between those who are charged for corruption, but as the PEC you have resolved to support him, but also you want him to campaign for the ANC in the upcoming local government elections.
No, it's not a contradiction. You see, former President Zuma was part of the campaign in 2019. When we were elected in 2018 as a provincial executive committee of the ANC, among other things that we placed on the agenda of the discussion with the national leadership was the question of how the movement must attend to the issues relating to the case of the former president. And there were 2 points that we made. The first one was that this case has been with us for almost 2 decades. And the ANC, both at the level of the National Executive Committee and the ANC conferences and national general councils, have taken decisions about this matter, which all of those decisions were saying that the organization must provide whatever possible support that should be given to former President Zuma. And this was happening even at the time when he was not a president of the ANC. So that's the first point that we put before the NEC. The second issue that we raised with our national leadership, we said, but beside that, you now have elements who are not only found from the African National Congress, but also in society, who are opportunistic and want to use the occasion of the appearance of our former president in the Pietermaritzburg High Court in order to profile their own political agenda and political motives, which are essentially contrary to the position of our movement and the ideals of the National Democratic Revolution. And we said we cannot keep quiet and allow that to proceed uninterrupted. And that's why the leadership said, on the basis of those 2 positions, we agree with you. We think that you must intervene, and your intervention must be in the best interest of the ANC. That's what we're here to do.
Has Zandile Gumede stepped aside?
Everybody, including Comrade Zandile Gumede, has acceded to the call of our movement to step aside. I had a meeting yesterday with Comrade Zandile for almost an hour to explain to her the decision of the National Executive Committee, a process that I've undertaken with all members of the ANC who are implicated or affected by the decision of the NEC. And she unconditionally supported that. I saw some headline in a certain newspaper that was saying she's denouncing that position. I don't think that is true. We met yesterday, and as you may not be aware, when we were meeting, there was a parallel meeting that was going on of the regional leadership, the interim regional leadership of the ANC in Ethekwini, later on, which was followed by branches of the ANC. We ended our meeting, and she did not proceed to those meetings because of the understanding that to do so would have been contrary to the position of the ANC, which she has herself unconditionally accepted.
Mr. Ntuli, there is a case against one of your members in KwaZulu-Natal from this region, from Willowfontein, Mr. Mkhize, the Minister of Health, that he's allegedly been involved in propriety with some of his subordinates who worked with him in his days as Premier of the province, in his days as TG Tahera Mata. As the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, what's your view of your member and your former provincial chairperson being involved in scandals worth millions of money that was meant for COVID-19 relief?
Well, I'm not aware of any court case that is going on against Comrade Mkhize. And I think once we are familiar with the facts around those issues, we can then have a view about how to navigate that situation. But as it stands, we are not aware of any court case that has been opened.
Are you not worried of the corruption scandals against him as the person spearheading the COVID-19?
We get worried about scandals that are associated with any of our leaders, irrespective of whether they are coming from KwaZulu-Natal or they are coming from somewhere else. Anything that is negative, which has a potential to impact on the standing and the reputation of our movement, remains a matter of central concern to us as an organization. So it is not just about what may be reported or said about Comrade Zweli or any of our leaders. It's a view that we hold as an organization, that we have this important responsibility to ensure that at all material times, the ANC standing and the reputation is not in any way affected by what is happening around us as individual members of the ANC.
Okay, we'll have to leave that with Mtumiseni, the Provincial Secretary of the ANC, as we see more and more leaders here coming, including the member of the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC, Thulasizwe Simelane. Here, let's see if we can get a comment.
Space. When we talk to them.
Okay, thank you very much.
That was Thulasizwe Simelane, who is the member of the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC here in KwaZulu-Natal, arriving as more and more people are coming here to come and show their support to the former president. We will look for more leaders and supporters coming.
Siphamandla Goge, thank you so much for that, getting himself into the thick of things there and trying to get some comment, managing there to have a good chat with Mdumiseni Ntuli, the ANC KZN Provincial Secretary, about just what's happening within the party at the moment, especially there in KZN. So just an idea of what's happening on the side, the politics on the side of this actual case.